Joe might ask,
Please.
have I ever?
It's on. Hey y'all, it's Stacy. We are loving my veteran, and this is walking in my shoes this afternoon. Sorry it was a little late today. That's scheduling conflict. So, um, we're going to talk a few minutes about. Hi, sorry. Please, honey, thank you. I appreciate you. We're going to talk about our rights and utilizing some tools in our toolboxes today. I need to kind of get myself together because this doing it at lunchtime is weird for me.
Use a cigarette.
I have my God help me today. That's all I can say. God help us today. Y'all like live and real, so we're doing both. Sorry, and I'm still not seeing comments come across. So, um, we have a right to expect honesty in others, and it is really important when we do our rights and we talk about them and learning how to use the tools in our toolbox is how to get that across, and that we want those rights and we deserve those rights. So I'm gonna try to pull it up both ways so I can see the comments because it drives me crazy when I can't see the comments. Sorry, I'm not sure what's happened. I've done rebooted Facebook 3 times. So, um, one more second. I'm telling you, morning. This is not always the best for me. Um, Page. Now we'll get it together here. Turn the volume down so we don't get echo. All right. Real quick before we get too started here, now that I can kind of see things going on. Um, don't forget tonight we have Let's Talk 7 p.m. It is Zoom. It's where we're going to bring people together where we can talk about what's going on. It is really important that we do this. It is our way to kind of communicate things and be able to share our experiences, questions. We're using the new format, which we have found to be phenomenal. Yay, I can kind of see it. So we're using the new format, which is phenomenal, and it gave us a better opportunity. Website is almost done. Yay! It's a color scheme thing now that I've got to finish out. It will be much more productive. Lots of information on there. I did put a post today that if you have reviews that you want to share about good, bad, or indifferent, we will keep you anonymous on the website, but we need to post those. It's important that people know how we're impacting lives, good, bad, or indifferent. We want to do that as well. So please put that on there. All right, so we have that right to expect honesty from others. Don't tell me what you think I want to hear. Don't tell me what you think I want to hear. And that is one of the hardest things that we accomplish in here. In fact, if you couldn't tell, we're like in a little tiff because I got tired and I laid down, and well, there's a reason for it. Yep, I was tired and I laid down for a few minutes, and then it was like, well, this, no, don't, I don't want to hear this. What's the honest truth? The honest truth is I was tired and I laid down at 11 instead of at 1. Expect honesty. Don't expect, you need to set those boundaries. And even if it puts you in in a little tiff with them, it's okay. You still can say, look, don't tell me what you think I want to hear. Are you having a good day? We tell people all the time, yep, I'm fine. We're not always fine, and that's not something necessarily we want to share with just like the chick we run into in the grocery store. Okay, but our friends, our very close friends, our family, our spouses, we need to share that too. And when we talk about 22 suicides a day, that's because we have this thing that when people say, how are you? Having a good day? Yeah, I'm great. No, we're not always great. And we don't share that. And so we expect honesty from the partner side, but we don't always give that out. Well, why are you tired? Well, there's no reason I'm tired. I'm just tired today. Well, there has to be a reason. No, there doesn't. But be honest in that fact. Be honest that that is a fact of life. And that's part of the communication in the toolboxes. How many times have you got into it with your veteran, and when it's all kind of calmed down, he's like, are you okay? And you're like, yep, I'm fine. Or they've said, are you okay? Yep, I'm fine. And you're really not fine. That is never good. So I like what Stephanie said yesterday, and I write a lot. I journal a lot. Is I journal so much, and I put my raw emotion on that piece of paper right then when it's happening, because it clears my head. It clears my head because I get it straightened out in my head that I'm mad about this. I'm angry about this. I'm this, I'm that. And I'm not okay at that moment. I'm not okay at that moment. But it's out there on a piece of paper for me to deal with and get okay on. Sometimes you have to get okay on your own. And that's fine too. We had one that went on for hours because I apologized for overreacting and the text, which is how we were communicating. I'm trying to read Sarah's thing. Um, he didn't read it, so I had to let him know. And oh my gosh, I can see remarks now. I'm so excited. So we do this, and it's okay to say, are you all right? No, I'm really in a place that I have to work through, that I need to work through. Can you give me a few minutes? And then you're not overreacting, and you're not exploding, and you're not doing all these things, right? You're not doing them all that way. So you have that right to expect honesty from others. So don't expect, you need to expect that honesty coming back. If they're in space, they need to tell you. Do they need to share their space? No. But be respectful enough when you know there's something wrong and you can see because their body language changes. Are you okay? And you ask them, something wrong? And they say no. You have the ability to correct that in your communication and say, your body language shows differently or your actions show differently, and if you don't want to talk about it, that's okay. Now see what you've done is you're starting this communication line. You're starting this communication line in a positive manner. You're starting it in a positive manner. Some of the biggest things that we argue about is there are just things that get to me, like everybody else in this world. We all have things that get to us and get us riled. And rather than me vomiting, okay, because I do, rather than me vomiting about it because I'm going to say something out of line at the time when I vomit, I sometimes I'll keep it in and I'll be like, I just need to work through it, or I'll get a little snippy, right? And so what I do is I go on. And like Carl will say, well, you're just hungry. No, I'm not hungry. I'm not hangry. I'm not hungry. But in the time it takes, because I'm hungry or hangry or whatever, to go in the kitchen and fix something, even if it's some crackers or a piece of toast, my brain has calmed down enough, right? My brain has calmed down enough to be able to deal with it. And they do see us too. So yeah, you're very right, Stephanie, when Mike said he did it to you last Friday. I didn't want to say it, but he told me my body language said otherwise, and he would appreciate knowing. And I'm moving on. I will, Colleen. Oh, Carl's watching. Yes, we do this. I blew up this when I got up a few minutes ago, and it's body language. It is truly body language and reading into it and not being able to say everything. And I get very focused on me. I get very focused on me. And there's a lot of times, like, I will say, I have a lot to do. I have this, I have that. And it just kind of blows up. And I'm not angry, but I just have a lot going on. And it's very hard, and I'm going to tell you, it's very hard when you're with Carl, because he was taught to do this, to hide anything, okay? Because even the way that I hold my hands, even the way I hold my hands, he knows. And he's always dead on right. He's always dead on right, but he has that right to expect honesty, and I don't always give it. I always hide so much in that I don't always give it. And I make mistakes because of it. And it's probably one of the biggest things that cause a fight in our relationship is that I don't communicate the little stuff. We can fight through the big stuff, we can work through it, but when I get in a space and I don't share the little stuff, and it festers and it grows up, and I'm like, I got this, I can handle it, I need to do this, I'm going to go take care of this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this. And I say and I'm always about that. I say that all the time, me, 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 me. And I never say we. It's always me. Um, and I'm not honest about feeling overwhelmed. It creates one of the biggest issues. And when you're talking about rights, he has that same right that I have to expect honesty. And I don't always do that well. I don't always do that well. A lot of it, we all have our own baggage that comes to the table. We all bring our own baggage with us when we come. And one of the things that I found was that part of my baggage was I was married to a narcissistic ass. Okay? So for me to say that I need something was very, very difficult. Okay? It is very, very difficult. And Carl wants me to say that. He wants me to admit that I can't do it all. He not that he wants me to fail, but he wants me to admit I'm not Superwoman. He wants me to say, "Hey baby, I need help today." Because that's honest. And I don't do that well. I make it about what I have stacked up. Okay? I make it about what I have stacked up, and I keep it in, and that's not being honest. And so when we have that right to expect honesty, what you're going to find almost all the time is we don't give honesty in return. I do need to explode to go forward. I did. That's the way I vomit. It's bad. He'll tell you. But yeah, I brought a whole moving bag of truck worth of luggage. The poor guy. And every time we move, the poor man packs it all up and totes it to the next environment with us. So, I mean, he's just, y'all know how I love him. And there's days he drives me crazy. And, it's one of those things. And it just does what it does. But it is so hard, though, when we don't. Honesty is the key. We talk about key cores of a relationship. Communication. Communication. If you can't learn to communicate and do it effectively, every other tool in your toolbox is like worthless. I think of communication as the part where you open the top to the toolbox, okay? And we have to learn to communicate. We don't always do it well. There are days that I take the toolbox and I dump the shit on the floor. There's a much easier way to do it, but I dump the shit on the floor, and that's my new way to communicate. Here, let me just lay all the trash out. Sarah, but it's hard not to let your past, but it does. Your past comes in because your past, even though you try not to, it still makes you make decisions are still based on some of your past. But you take this stuff in your toolbox, if you don't learn to communicate, you're never going to get past any of it. So it's little steps in communication, because we know that there's trust involved. Okay, you have to learn to trust each other. And that, again, comes from honesty, but we have to communicate that. And we fail at that all the time. I will hold things in, or I will not say something right then because I think I'm protecting him or I can handle it. And when it's things that I think I can handle on my own and I try to do them on my own, I will so screw up. And then it becomes a big issue later, when had I have just gone to him and said, "Hey, this is what's going on. This is what I think. the solution should be, I know I don't want to add more to your plate, but this is what there is. And him give me his opinion, which sometimes, again, takes a little longer than I like, and he knows that. But it is part of what would have happened had I have just gone on and done it by myself. And I find that every single time I try to go on and do it by myself and not communicate with him, I screw up, and it is worse in the long run. And I think we all do that because we become independent. I'm not saying I have to ask his permission to pick up the phone and call somebody, because I don't. I don't have to ask his permission for anything, because he just sits there and he has this cute little look on his face when he does it. When he knows I'm going to do something stupid and my head is strung in headstrong mode and I fail to talk to him about it beforehand, and he goes, "Whatever you want, dear. Do I ever stop you from doing anything?" Okay, and when he says that, that should be my key. That, hold on, take a step back. You didn't communicate with him, and you weren't honest about everything you wanted to do, because that should be his key. Instead of me just coming out and saying, yeah, instead of me just going on and saying, I got like all these things pop up. Instead of me going on and saying to him, "Hey, baby, what do you think about this?" Right? He just goes, "Whatever you want to do, dear." And he gets his smirk, like in his little smile. And what it means in his mind is, you can do whatever you want, but I'm going to have to go back and pick up the pieces of where you screwed it up because we didn't talk about it. And it happens every single time. Every single time. And I should get this by now. And yes, he is always protecting. He protects me profusely. It is his mission. And he does worry about my health. And he, instead of me just going and saying, "Baby, I didn't sleep good last night." Again, we're talking about that expecting honesty. I'm really tired. I didn't sleep good last night. We have a lot going on today. I have mentally had a lot this morning. There's a lot more going on. I'm not sure I'm going to have time to sleep this afternoon, so I'm going to go ahead and lay down rather than fall asleep on the couch. That would have been so much better than saying, "I'm tired, I'm going to go lay down." Yeah, and I know that sounds like I'm explaining a lot to him, but it's not. It would have been better communication, and he would have expected honesty all the way through. He went as far as saying you need to talk to him. That's why I'm trying to learn. And when I take a step back, I feel like don't ever feel like failure. Don't ever, ever, ever feel like failure. Because again, this is what I say to all y'all who are here. What I say to all of y'all who are here is this: if you are here wanting to grow your relationship, you are here wanting to learn to use and share the tools you have in your toolbox, the things you have learned from personal experiences. When you're wanting to do that, you're not failing. Failing is packing up your bags and filing for that divorce and putting in whatever. That's failing. Right? And so, all steps back are learning opportunities. Maybe that means we didn't do it right the first time. Maybe it means we didn't let it get in our head enough right the first time. Maybe it learned when you take that step backwards, it's because we didn't communicate it well the first time, or it doesn't work because what works for me may not always work for you. Okay? I know what works for me may not always work for somebody else, but we learn that communication. And I like this. I know from how Jason talks to our daughter, he wants total explanation. So does Carl. I'll flat out tell you that. I want to give this like 2-sentence. I want to give this 2-sentence answer. Well, why are you doing this? Well, because we just need to do this and be 2 sentences, right? And Carl wants the complete explanation. Not just, "I'm going to go lay down." Why are you going to lay down? Because he has other things he worries about. He worries about my health. He worries about, am I okay? That's all it comes from. Okay? And several details. Something that helped Stephanie was to realize that I need to speak to Mike like how I would want to be spoken to. And I don't always do that. I hated when Carl speaks to me the way I speak to him at times, because I get whiny and kind of pitch this 2-year-old, and he did it to me today, and I'm like, will you stop whining to me? And he's like, I'm not. But it was exactly me being in a brat moment. Now that Stephanie points this out, it was like looking in the mirror. It was me being in a brat moment. We base our missions on orders given. We can't complete unless we have full disclosure, and that's true. That's true. And when we're not in that mindset, because there's so much, and I don't think that we realize sometimes that we typically non-military people typically take so much on our plate and do so much, and we don't do it in a partnership, right? It is like, oh, let's just take all this on our plate, and we don't do it this way in a partnership, because we just do it. Most of the time, our bosses don't give a damn. We get halfway instructions, and we're supposed to figure it out along the way. So our mentality becomes, okay, half instructions, we'll figure it out along the way. We don't need to spend time with the details, because I can't tell you how many times I went to my boss and tried to explain details, and this was the answer. And I think a lot of you can relate. This was the answer. I don't care about that. Just get it done. Okay? I don't care about that. Just get it done. Well, that mentality is what I've grown up with in every job I've ever had. I don't care about this. When I taught paramedic and helped them teach a paramedic program, I literally, the EMT and the paramedic program, my job wasn't necessarily to go out and teach the paramedic program or the EMT program. I literally taught people how to pass the test. That was my job. Do you know why? Because our success and failure, according to our boss, was how many people could pass the test. Not how many people we made good paramedics or good EMTs. So they didn't care how we taught the class. We could have handed them all a book and said, read it, as long as they sat in there the required number of hours and they did their clinicals. All they cared about was the end game. Did you get enough people to pass? The military is so different. Okay? When it is so different. Nakia says, when we get back from our veteran, how we react, growth is happening. May not sound this way at the moment, but hours later you do. You do, and that is very true. That is so true. If my mood can set the tone for the day, my mood can set the tone for the day. If I give short, snippy answers and vomit, and I am bothered about something, our whole day is going to be like that. Now, when we're done, we can have a conversation, and we'll be fine. But my mood sets the tone for the whole day. Hey, baby.
Yeah.
And it does that. And we watch ourselves do that. And it's sad, because it's part of that communication. What's the nice way to get in the sun? What orders do I need to give him for that? I love this. Okay, the laundry basket thing, Sarah, is simple. If he doesn't put the socks in the laundry basket, leave them there. You have two choices. Two choices in our life. Have you asked him to put the socks in the laundry basket? Yes or no? Yep. You tell him you wash the clothes that are in the laundry basket. Yes or no? Yes. You're not asking him to wash the socks, right? You're asking him to put them in the basket. Well, guess what? That's not on you, that's on him. So learn that you need a can of Febreze. Let him lay his socks wherever he chooses. They can stand there, they can be dirty, they can be whatever, walk over and spray them. And then he's going to come to you at some point and say, where are my socks? And you know what? You're going to walk over to that dirty pile and you're going to pick them up and you're going to hand them to him. 2 socks. And he's going to make the comment about it, right? You can make the comment about it, and you're going to say when the socks get to the laundry basket, I'll wash them. I had that. My ex-husband did it. That was one of the things our marriage counselor, when I went early on, went to marriage counseling, told me, he said, Stacy, are the socks bothering you or are they bothering him? And I'm like, me. And he said, don't mess with them. And I was like, okay. And I didn't. And it's on. Don't worry about it. Stephanie, if the dirty fat socks don't faze them, just get you a can of the Febreze. I'm telling you. They make it for fabric. Just keep spraying the pile. And it works. Because all of a sudden they realize, for the lack of, you've got to be honest and communicate why you want them there. Well, if you put them there, I'm going to wash them for you. When I do the laundry, not wash them for them, but that's where they go when you do the laundry. All right? Exactly. You don't give the orders. You've asked him to figure it out, that process. And leave them there. Eventually they're going to run out. I'm telling you, my ex-husband wouldn't take he would eat and set his plate down wherever he was, and he would leave it. My children all had to carry their plates to the sink. He would leave it and expect somebody else to do it. Now, I regressed in this, which was a huge mistake, but I didn't pick up his plates. I have enough dishes for me and David and Seth. We had 3 plates, 3 forks, 3 knives, and 3 spoons. And when it came time to fix dinner and dish up our food, because he kept setting it there, I would take out mine and the kids and fix up our plates and tell him dinner was done, and he'd go look for a place to wear the plates. And again, I pointed at the pile and said they don't get washed unless they're in the sink. They don't get washed unless they're at least in the kitchen. That's the way. But I stopped doing that, and I went back to, he did it for a while, and I went back to carrying him in there myself. So guess what happened? For the 20 more years, right? For the 20 more years, I carried the damn dishes and did it. I love it. But he at least got it next to the sink, right? I mean, that's better than somewhere else. I mean, so that's about that honest communication. I'll wash them. I'll do them when they are in this space. That's communication. Communication 101. I fail at it every day, just like everybody else. None of us are perfect. I fail at it every day, but we get better at it. I fail at it every day. And that's just how it works. We have to learn to expect honesty. But how do we get honesty if we don't give it? So when they ask what is wrong, answer them. You don't have to say everything. Again, but harsh truths are as much as lies. But you can honestly say, I have a lot going on. There's some things I need to work through. How about we talk about it later? And set a time. Maybe we can talk about it tomorrow. Whatever. But that is honesty. And they need it all. They need all the details. And I fail at giving them all the details because I feel like it's putting more on his plate and I can handle it. And that is wrong. It creates the problem. It creates problems. I think about couples who when they're first married, they have all these great plans that they're going to do, and then they have kids, and then when their kids grow up, they're going to spend this great life together traveling or doing whatever, right, when their kids go off to college. And when they're kids, they, the whole empty nester thing, the largest population, age-wise, that divorces are those over 40 whose children have gone to college. Okay, that is the largest, because they have grown apart so far that they have failed to communicate with each other about the things that bothered them in their marriage, or didn't bother them, but just have honest communication. And so it was a big deal. It was a big deal when they realized that that is the largest growing population. Okay, and here's the thing. Yeah, the reality is you're broke once the kids leave. That's true. But if you don't communicate your feelings towards each other now, if you don't do that now, then what's going to happen? But if you tell, and I'll use Tiffany because she's sitting right here and she talks about Mike all the time. But if her and Mike are working on communication and they learn to communicate better, okay, about their personal needs and desires and wants and why they love each other and all of those things, now, when her kids go off and live their life, no, you and Mike cannot be the stalker parents, okay, Stephanie? I'm just telling you. But when their kids go off to live their life, they're going to have a life because they've learned to communicate. And that happens all so often. But that's why, how many times have we all heard or even said, I'm waking up next to a stranger. I'm living in a house next to a stranger. Okay? Yeah, you lose that as parents, you lose that romance. You lose communication. Yeah, I used to say that about Seth, and now he has. But you know what? He was moved in with his daddy, and now he lives with his daddy at 32, so it's not my problem. Yay. Yay. So you have to, the communication is so important. And we don't. We wake up with strangers in our home. There have been times I have flat out said to Carl, I feel like you're my roommate. And that is times I have shut down when I look back. That is times I have shut down when I look back. So, communication, if you want them to be your roommate and share your space, then, talk about, don't stop, but to talk about the real relationship in order to have a partner, that's what happens. And we fail at that a lot sometimes. So how do you expect honesty? You got to give it. You have to give it. And I will say this, the more that I have shared with Carl, the more he has shared back in return. Only after I'm learning, and I don't do it well, this is my learning thing, and he will probably agree with you. Only when I stop cutting him off. There are times that he will start to share with me, and it may be this long drawn out version to get to the whatever, but he's unprocessing it out of his head, and I cut him off. And what does that do for the honesty? I've told him I'm there to listen when you're ready. And when he goes to talk to me, I don't listen completely. So what does that do in our honesty thing? And so sitting back, you have to look at this. And today, it's weird because I've learned more from doing this today than I probably would have learned from watching this today. Maybe that's part of why, I still journal a lot, but maybe that's part of why I don't journal quite as much, because I share what's in my mind, and so what's coming out of my mind is usually what I'm going through. And then it gives me that opportunity to take a step back and say, you're screwing up here. This is your redo moment. Now that you put it out here in video, this is your redo moment. You got to get it right. So that's kind of where we are. But honesty, little stuff, little stuff, little stuff, little stuff. I'm failing at it right now. I need to be more open when it comes to the little stuff, and I don't do it well. So I'm going to work on that. All right, we're going to wrap this up. Sorry it was late today. I had another scheduling conflict that I needed to get straightened out. Been a great week. We have done so much and seen so much. I still can't stop smiling over Kurt Power going to see Richard, Nakia's Richard. I'll let her have him as my Richard now. Can't get past that. I'm still so excited about where we've come in that. I did put out there that y'all please reviews. We need those. So good, bad, or ugly, please share them on the group. When I put them on the website, I don't necessarily need to say who they're from. We just need the little snippets to go on the website. Those reviews, it's important that we get that out there. Tonight, let's talk. We have that going on as well. Let's see what else. Stephanie, I needed your Wednesday thing yesterday. It was amazing, and I needed it yesterday. Thank you for that. So we're really getting it. We're getting it together. Lots of new projects coming out, and hopefully we'll have the newsletter. I want to have it done today. I can't promise you because the number one goal today is the website. Website. We are so close. And when you see it, I hope you're as excited about it as we are. We put a lot of videoing of the progress back and forth to each other to get our stuff. So that's where we are. Anything else? We're going to wrap this up. Y'all have a blessed day. I'm Stacy. Loving My Veteran Pledge. Please do it. Please do it. Please do it. It is amazing when you do it. Do it, share it, put it on the group, put it on our Facebook page, share it on your private thing. Please do that because it makes you think more often about why we love them. And I literally went back in today and reread it because he is my veteran and I do love him and I will stand beside him all the time, even when I don't act like it. Honey, I love you. So if we're communicating this way, I just want you to know I love you. Y'all have a blessed day. We will see you tonight, 7 p.m. Zoom. Let's talk. Have a good day. I'm Stacy. This has been Walking in My Shoes, and we are loving my veteran.